Hi, I'm Ted from everythingattachments.com, and we're going to show you the Phoenix Rotary tiller, part of our gardening series. This is made by Sigma in Italy. It's one of the finest companies making tillers right now. There are very few made in America. Even the Bush Hog brand is made by Sigma. So are many of the OEM tractor dealerships, companies made by this company right here. Sigma builds them for Coyote, Montana, a lot of other companies. Some of the finest ones are built by Sigma. In fact, this is the best one I know of. Come around to this side and I'm going to show you some of the best features. All the Sigma tillers distributed by Uniform come with a slip clutch. So if you hit a rock or a stump, instead of shearing a bolt and you having to come back here and work on it, you're simply going to slip this clutch. When the rock gets cleared or the stump or whatever it was that would have sheared the bolt, then this clutch will go back to working and you won't have to replace the bolt in your shear system. So that's a big advantage. It also has, on the system here, it has a very large diameter torque tube compared to some of the cheaper ones, and it also comes with 6 blades per rotor instead of 4. 4 is pretty much the common of what everybody uses. So with this large torque tube that isn't going to flex on here and 6 blades per rotor, this is pretty much top of the line. It also, one of the best features that none of the other tillers have, there are 6 bolts at the end of the shafts. You can unbolt this whole assembly and take it out to work on it, so you're not having to change your tines up under the tiller. Also, where your lift arms hook is fully adjustable. You just simply loosen these 2 nuts. You can slide it back and forth. So even for a subcompact tractor that has a narrow hitch, you can bring these in. In this case, we're going to be using a 32 horsepower Kubota. Really, it should have probably a 60 or 66 inch tiller behind it, but this is a 56 inch, so it's not going to clear the complete tracks. So what you would do to clear, because you don't want a hard spot left in your garden, so what you would do is you would run one lift arm out a little further and one lift arm in as far as you can, and let either side, depending on how you adjust it, extend past the side of your tractor. That way you always keep a clear path of soft dirt and you don't have any hard spots in your garden. You've got a separate contained gearbox up here with its own oil. You've got size 80 chain over here in the side over here with a sight glass, so you can make sure that it's got oil in it. So when you go out to it in the spring, you simply look for the oil. You're good to go. It has this stand here. So basically this is a big wheel, and when you unhook it, it's going to want to roll forward. So that's why you've got your kickstand here, so you can hold it up without needing 2 people to hook this up. In adjusting your depth, you've got several holes here. These are your skids. Right now we've got it adjusted in its lowest cutting position. We would put it to one of these other holes to make it cut further. We're going to leave it in its highest position now and probably just make 2 passes. On the second pass, once the ground is soft, it'll let this bury up enough that we'll still be getting a good 6 or 7 inches of tilling room there. Okay, when you're hooking up your tiller to your tractor, one of the things you have to be sure of, a tiller's one of the things that surely has a short PTO shaft. And what you want to do is make sure that you've got room to clear the shaft here, because if you put this tiller on and it's all the way up and you have room to go on, when it gets down to level, it's going to be its shortest point. There is a chance that if you put it on while it was all the way up, just because it fitted when it's all the way up, when it comes down, it can be too short, the shaft can be too long and end up breaking your cross joints and or other damage. So you want to check it with your shaft level and make sure that you've got room between this before you put it on. Push your button in all the way, slide it up on, let your button out, and then pull back on it slowly until the button catches. Then you want to make sure you hook your safety chains up. This is just to keep trash, debris, grass, or you from getting wrapped up in the shaft. So now after we've hooked our safety chains, we've got our PTO shaft hooked. We're going to hook up our top link. We're going to adjust this level so the tiller's sitting pretty level now. And we're going to remove our kickstand, which keeps it from turning. We're going to put it in its raised position, and now we're ready to go. This tiller is almost the width of the tractor, and if we were doing it for the final time for the year and going to really do it for right now for our gardening, we would move these brackets where your lift arms are held to one side to clear the complete track of the tractor so we don't have any hard areas, but for now it'll be fine. This is also a way of controlling how fine the ground is that comes out. If you want your ground to be not quite as fine, leave this up. It's going to let the chunks come out without just completely pulverizing it. If you want a smoother ground, easier to plant in, then leave this down all the way. I'm going to leave it up one notch just for now. So we've just got through using the disc harrow. The ground is broken up pretty good, but to really make easy planting and everything work better, we're going to use a rototiller. It's nice to have your ground where it looks as fine as sand, and it really does make it easy to plant. But the only thing about this red clay is the finer you get it after it rains, the harder it gets like concrete. So there's somewhere in there, there's a happy medium between getting the clods out and not getting it too fine. So I lowered the tailgate on this unit just a little bit to make it just a little bit finer. You can see the difference in the first row we did and the second row just from simply changing that chain. And the slides are adjusted in its position to where it's going to be cutting the least amount. We actually probably should come up one more notch on the slides to let it go a little deeper, but as the dirt gets softer, it'll go deeper in the ground anyway. One of the best things about the Sigma tiller is with the 6 blades per rotor, it's only gaining half the amount of wear as if it only had 4, so you're going to get to go a lot longer before you have to do any changing of the tines. And it has a very wide blade from the front to the back, and that's what gives you your wearing time. It's not how long the tine is, it's how wide it is from front to back and how thick it is. One of the things you're going to notice while he's using that tiller is all the big clunks and everything that you heard on the first pass that he made is pretty much gone now after just one pass. You hear a few things hitting, but after to start with, it sounded like bombs going off. So he's just going to come up one side and go down the other. And the ground now is starting to take shape and soften up, and it's just about ready to where you could plant. Less than 2 hours ago, this was just hard red clay with grass on it. That's good. So now after 2 passes, what you've got is we plowed it, we disced it, which we wouldn't have had to have done, but we did it since we had it here, and we've made 2 passes with the tiller with it, and so now all our nice hard big clods and everything have gone to some pretty good ground. Got a few small pieces in it, which you need over the winter. This is going to break up and just get better and better every year that this is done. We're going to take a bedder tomorrow, make our healing to where, and then make our furrow to where you would be planting. This is soft enough now you can plant by hand, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier. If you wanted to blend in your compost, fertilizer, or anything, now would be the time to do it before you made your second pass over it with the tiller. It's ready to be planted. We're going to show how to use some other attachments tomorrow in gardening, but when you get this hard red clay to where you can do that, 6-8 inches deep, you're ready to go gardening.